pandemics with the swine flu and now the COVID crisis, we think we need to make products that are not just great for American meat eaters like us, but for the world, for Asia, where people enjoy pork, they enjoy fish, they enjoy beef. We're working hard eventually to offer all those options made from plants.
But from all we've just heard, and from all we know, what this means is that May and June are going to be really ugly months here in the United States, that we're going to see things play out as the beer runs out, if the CO2 shortage materializes, but absolutely as the meat runs out. And as people begin to get an appreciation for just how screwed we are economically, and that this is not a return to normal situation, I think we're going to start to see all of this carry over. Frustrations will mount, and we'll see situations in everywhere, like what's already started to play out in parts of South America and in South Africa. Here from the Daily Mail, riots breaking out in Johannesburg over food shortages. The army has been deployed there to restore order as COVID-19 claims over 1,000 lives across the continent. Now notice, they switched in this headline from South Africa, where the army has been deployed, to 1,000 lives across the continent, because it's not until you read way down here in the article that, in fact, South Africa has not recorded a single case of coronavirus. So that has nothing to do with what's going on. But that didn't stop them from creating a 24-day coronavirus lockdown. Not a single case, but they've locked down the entire country, and that has had the same effects there that it's had everywhere else. Cascading failures, people losing their jobs, not having enough money to buy food, and now violence in the streets and the army being sent in. So they're just on a faster timeline than some of the other places around the world, but this is the way we can expect to see this playing out. As well, we should expect to see the system trying to take more control over the food supply. We know that the EU just approved bugs for human consumption, and that is of course completely in line with the UN IPCC's recommendation that we all start eating insect protein. And Tyson has already positioned themselves as standing ready in a situation like this to be able to start cutting beef with pea protein or insect protein. They've been working on this for years, and so they just happen to be ready with that technology, with that bastardization is what I should call it, now. And so expect to see this as the meat shortages play on. People will just naturally, they'll start to welcome anything they can get, whether that's the Impossible bleeding burger from Bill Gates or some of these other fake meat endeavors. It's worth mentioning, I should stress that these are all funded by Bezos and Bill Gates and all these billionaires who are forcing right now their technocratic totalitarian visions and Agenda 21 upon the population of the planet.
I used to watch a lot of these conspiracy channels, and they would talk about these agendas that will play out. One of those, or part of that, being veganism, getting people on a shelf-stable vegan diet, weak, malnourished, and as if we're not already, for the most part, on shelf-stable for the larger population, and that's just part of it. That's just a tiny factor in it, veganism. There's so much more to all of the agendas, whether they are intentional or it's just a lot of screw-ups that are putting these things in place, that we're messing up so bad systemically that it is, our medicine is malfunctioning, or the way we eat. All of this is so messed up. It almost feels like there's no way it could just be accidental, unless there's like a darkness, kind of driving a lot of this. But back to veganism. Yeah, everything that's happening now with this coronavirus is sort of pushing this into place. I talked about what they're doing with the food stamps, and that's just in America. And, the factories, the fields of even plant foods that are being chopped to bits. So more people are taking food off the shelves in the grocery stores, and then less is being supplied back. And I didn't even touch on, import, export. that's a whole nother, the Ice Age farmer, I included a clip of his video. He's a great person to check out. He does a lot of research into this. And there are other people, of course, that look way deeper than I do into this. But basically what I'm saying is this is going to end up with plant-based kibble for the larger option of food that will be on the shelves. And what people don't understand is the poor folks will still be getting their food stamps. Nobody is going to opt to just go vegan. No, I mean, the larger amount of people are not going to do that. And I used to wonder this. How are all these plant-based companies, they're never going to really sell a lot, People aren't going to go out and choose to just go vegan, especially not country folk, poor folk, the larger variety of people even. They're not going to choose to do that, whether they care about their health or not, and whether they think it's healthy or not. Unless that is their only option. When they go into the grocery store and all the meat is wiped out, as it has been, that's what I've been seeing in my grocery stores. They bought all the beef first, and then there will be a few packs of the organic meat left. And then, once that's gone, what happens then? Well, they'll see the Beyond Burger sitting there, and they're like, let's try these. We're not just going to start eating beans every day. No, people aren't going to choose to do that. Oh my goodness, it is all coming to fruition. It is all playing out exactly as all of the conspiracy theorists have been saying. If people don't see this now, I don't know what to tell you. It is more important than ever right now to start thinking about how to support your local systems. Whether you can garden or not, whether you have the space, whether you need to support your local farmer markets. They have them everywhere. Go and support the local people that are putting work into this, because these systems require animals. Unless you're going to have a synthetic system where you use the fertilizer that ruins the soil and kills the bacteria and just everything, completely unnatural, as the unnatural vegan. And, at least there are some vegans that are at least a little bit consistent. And I think that's part of why the unnatural vegan is the way she is. And Vegan Gains, they realized, they're long-term vegans, they realized after a certain point, you can't do this naturally. You can't deny the system that requires animals, that require, somebody will have to house these animals whether you want to eat them or not. Somebody has to have these animals, whether you're just going to hold them as pets and collect their poop, or maybe you can start using human feces and just rule out animals altogether. Maybe that's what vegans want. So, yeah, at least Swayze, at some point, I think she realized there's no way to do this naturally without a lot of effort, without, acknowledging that it takes a lot of work and a lot of things have to change, the way we live has to change completely if you want to acknowledge this is the best way to do it, a natural system that requires organic, produce to be grown with animals and such. No, she realized that, and she realized she wanted to stay comfy. She wanted her comfy little grocery store trips. Maybe she'll grab one of those cloth bags to feel special. And just choosing a different food source. Just keep supporting the same systems. Keep supporting the same industry. Keep doing what you do. Little effort. Don't change anything. Just change the type of food you eat. That's what these people want to believe. That's going to change the world. And it isn't. It's going to take a huge, massive shift in how we do things locally. We have to start supporting these farmers locally, and maybe even you can order, foods online. There's like Garland Farms, even Frankie's meat, Well, I don't know because he orders from like Australia and stuff, I think. But yes, try to find local farmers, buy their meat if you can. And that's another thing. It's more expensive to buy organic, to buy from these local farmers who put in a huge amount of effort, and they don't get all these, government grants and things like that. So, and that's another thing. I think maybe these plant-based companies will end up getting some sort of subsidies. Who knows? They'll be saving the world at some point if things keep going in this direction. All we can do is try to be as self-sustainable as possible, and that you can't do much on your own property, even if you have a large amount of space. This is not a large space right here, but it's not going to produce a lot of food. That's the thing. I will still have to go and buy food from other farmers. Luckily my family has cattle, so if it comes down to it, we can live off of that beef. If it came down to it, you can go hunting. People should still be doing these things when they can, if they can. That's what I'm saying. But how a vegan thinks they could ever be self-sustainable on just plants, it is impossible. It is absolutely impossible, and I think certain vegans have realized this. That's why they've moved goalposts. They started saying, well, we should be doing, buying from monocrops. We should be buying from, we shouldn't be buying organic food. They realize if they are smart, you can't do that. Ellen Fisher should realize this by now. There's no way you can live off of your own land on just plants. It's hard enough to do it with animals in the picture and with community. So yeah, we need community. I just wanted to talk really quickly about what is being foreseen and this agenda. It seems to be coming true. And it's scary, but yeah, people need to know about it.
There's an actual meat shortage. Over the last few weeks, COVID-19 has forced companies like Smithfield and Tyson Foods to shut down some major meat processing facilities. We could be looking at shortages or at least much higher prices. Not yet, but in the not too distant future. Now, this is not a great situation for carnivores, but maybe this is an opportunity for the plant-based meat alternative plays. See, there's a reason why Beyond Meat's formerly down in the dump stock has rallied more than 60% this month. But what about the other major player in the plant-based meat space, Impossible Foods? This is a privately held company that apparently just raised $500 million in a fundraise, valued the company at $4 billion. That's up from $2 billion last May. Now, Impossible is a bit different from Beyond Meat. For example, they use, genetically modified organisms, also known as GMOs, which may turn some people off, although the consensus seems to be that it makes for a better tasting product. Impossible is also more reliant on restaurant sales, which is not great right now, though they're working to build out their supermarket distribution. So with the traditional meat business hobbled by the pandemic, let's take a closer look at the plant-based meat business with David Lee. He's the chief financial officer of Impossible Foods. Mr. Lee, welcome to Mad Money.
Oh, it's great to be here, Jim. Thanks for having us.
All right, so David, I first had my Impossible Burger when I went to see a San Francisco Giants game last year, Mother's Day, and it was just delicious. And I said, you know what? This is a fabulous showcase. They got to get them out in restaurants, see them like this. Now I'm wondering, without the showcase, because so many places are closed, are you still able to get the word out as well?
Well, the word has gone out already, Jim. We are on the march in grocery. We announced this week that we are going to be at 500% more locations, a 5x increase. Soon we'll be at 1,000 grocery locations. And the home chef, just like the restaurateur, enjoys this Impossible Burger because it's craveable and delicious, but it makes you feel better about your health and your impact on the world.